By most critic accounts, 2016 was a great year for video games. Whether you agree with that or not, it's time to move on, and the impressive lineup of games for this year should give everyone something to look forward to. Here are our top 20 most anticipated games of 2017. Number 20, South Park: The Fractured But Whole. Coming off the success of The Stick of Truth, Trey Parker and his band of comedic maniacs are up to some more antics in yet another South Park video game. This time ditching the traditional one side versus the other battle system for a more improved turn-based grid system, and adding on 12 different classes, each with their own advantages. The story's a huge parody of the Avengers, and it should continue to show success in keeping the crude humor from the shows as it did with the first game. Bottom line, this game's gonna be funny as hell, and if you've never seen South Park, don't sleep on this one just yet. I didn't start watching the show until I played The Stick of Truth, so there may be a chance there's a South Park fan deep within you too. Number 19, Routine. The first horror game on this list, Routine is a first-person thriller set on an abandoned moon base filled with hostile robots? We think. Whatever those things are, they're terrifying. And although not a ton of info about this game is out there, what we do know is that it's been in development for years with its original announcement dating back to 2012, which isn't necessarily a bad thing considering we'll be getting a full release right out the gate of a title that's had years of hard work put into it. And judging by the gameplay videos showcasing eerie hallways, empty corridors, and attacks from a horrifying enemy, we suggest you keep the lights on for this one. Number 18, Farpoint. The first real, original, narrative-driven VR experience possibly ever is set to hit the PS4 this year, and boy are we excited to see what this thing can accomplish. Set on an unknown alien planet filled with hostile creatures, and even allowing the use of its own specific game controller in order to capture the full realism feel, Farpoint boasts amazing graphics, some pretty dope looking gunplay, and hopefully a whole lot more. Farpoint has the chance to set a high precedent for all VR games to follow, so we'll definitely be looking out for this one to see how it fares. Number 17, Overkill's The Walking Dead. We may very well be jumping the gun on this one, but is it safe to say Payday 2's developer is a perfect fit for this type of game? Once again, we don't know much about it still, but what we do know has us excited. Featuring co-op first-person shooter gameplay and containing elements of action, survival horror, stealth, and role-playing. Yeah, that's a lot of different genres at once. It almost sounds too good to be true. Overkill is definitely promising a lot with this one, and as if all that wasn't enough, they're throwing a VR experience into the mix as well. How it's going to fit into Kirkman's comic book series, or possibly even Telltale's game series, is going to be something interesting to watch. Number 16, Ukulele. The nostalgia trip this year is going to go to Ukulele, a 3D open world platformer straight out of Kickstarter. I feel like we get one of these every year at this point, so pardon me if I sound a little skeptical. After all, I hope we all learned our lesson from Mighty Number 9, right? Nonetheless, this game looks beautiful, and development is underway by creative talent behind the Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong Country games, so it looks like it's in good hands. A part of me really wants this game to do well, but another part of me wants it to slide under the radar so that the devs can move on to something more new and innovative. But hey, I'm never gonna say no to a spiritual gem from the past. And like I said earlier, it's open world, which undoubtedly sounds enticing for a game of this genre and caliber. Number 15, Detroit Become Human. Mr. David Cage is back. The notorious interactive storyteller and creator of hit games Heavy Rain, Indigo Prophecy, and Beyond Two Souls is back with another narrative-driven choice-based game for the PS4. This time set around a group of androids and having something to do with hunting down rogue versions. Detroit Become Human will have the same choice system that will shape the story as the player sees fit. Characters will once again live or die based on your choices, and Cage really upped the ante this time. Choices seem to evolve the story into tons of different outcomes, amounting into many more than in previous games. With several playable characters, hundreds, yes I said hundreds, of actors cast, and 2 years spent on its script, Detroit looks to be the early competitor for Best Narrative this year. Number 14, Friday the 13th, The Game. One word: fun. That's the best way to describe what started as a spiritual celebratory game of the Friday the 13th franchise and 80s slasher films. It's nice to see that the kickstarted game was given the rights to the movie giant because it's going to be so much fun killing our friends as Jason. With early alphas already out and player impressions seeming good, we've got our hopes up for this one. It pits up to 7 different player-controlled camp counselors against Jason himself and carries a sort of Dead by Daylight vibe, only it's Jason. And those executions are so much more brutal. Number 13, Little Nightmares. Bearing a strong resemblance to Playdead's latest title, Inside, Little Nightmares takes what Inside did good with puzzles and platforming and combines it with a dark horror story complete with disturbing creatures and a chilling atmosphere. I never thought I'd genuinely be scared while playing a side-scrolling platformer, but holy hell am I nervous about this one. It genuinely looks like a lot of fun, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. Number 12, Persona 5. What can we say about Persona that hasn't already been said before? One of the most unique game series on the market, combining social simulation with action role-playing, Persona isn't just a game, but an entire experience, one that has to be played through to fully understand. So it should come as no surprise that the latest installment this year was going to be on this list. Bigger, better, and looking absolutely gorgeous, Persona 5 should prove to be no different than its predecessors when it comes to delivering a core gameplay experience. If you've never tried out a Persona game, this could be your chance. Trust me, you'll never know what you're missing out on until you play it. Number 11, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I've never been much of a Zelda fan, but I felt it was important to include it here, if not for simply everyone else I know being one. This game is so high up in everyone's anticipated list this year, and for good reason. Not only is it the next Zelda edition, it's the first one that's going fully open world, and it's helping launch a brand new console system. With the Switch, here's hoping we can take Link with us on the go, and you can't deny the game looks really pretty. I'm a huge fan of the bright colors, and Breath of the Wild looks like it's using them perfectly. Number 10, Mass Effect Andromeda. I honestly wasn't that excited when this game was first announced, mostly because I had just finished my second playthrough of the trilogy, and I was kind of burnt out on Mass Effect for a while. But as we get closer and closer to launch, and as new info keeps coming out, my sights are now poised on this one. Although Shepard's story is over, and this game will not focus on him as a main character, the time period in which it's set is an interesting one. 600 years after the events of Mass Effect 3, Andromeda will feature a storyline based around you, the Pathfinder, as you search for new planets for us humans to colonize. Lots of potential here to do some cool stuff within the open world of Mass Effect, and honestly, more Mass Effect can't be a bad thing. Number 9, Prey. Prey. With all its ups and downs, switching from one developer's hand to the next over and over for the past few years, who would have thought it would finally see the light of day? And after realizing it's being developed by none other than Arcane Studios, the same group responsible for the Dishonored series, one can quickly understand the hype behind this game. Set on a distant space station and involving a lot of aliens, Prey looks to turn in this year's Doom possibly, except it's pushing for a strong narrative, which is awesome by me. Number 8, Injustice 2. Injustice is back, and honestly that means it's time for all other fighting game devs to crawl back in NetherRealm's shadow. No other fighting game matches NetherRealm's Injustice and Mortal Kombat series, and each year when we get a new edition, I'll continue to scream for joy. Honestly, I'd much rather take a new fighting game each year than another Call of Duty. Now introducing a loot dropping system and adding several new characters, Injustice 2 just might be my most played game this year. Number 7, Outlast 2. One of the scariest games to hit the market in recent years, Outlast came out of nowhere and surprised everyone. Now almost 4 years later, we're finally getting a sequel. With a brand new story and brand new characters, but set in the same world, Outlast 2 looks to bring even more scares than the first one. With more hiding spots like water pools and scarier looking enemies, Outlast 2 is sure to be Let's Play heaven on YouTube once again, and if it can deliver, can cement Red Barrels as one of the new leaders in horror. Number 6, The Last of Us Part 2. Absolutely nothing is known about this, and it's probably not even gonna end up coming out this year. But that trailer, the hype, man! I don't even care. I'll include this on every list I make until it comes out. Watch me. There's honestly not much else to be said. It's The Last of Us 2. You should be freaking out right now. Number 5, Insomniac Spiderman. From the creators of Ratchet & Clank as well as Sunset Overdrive comes this working title, Spider-Man game, seeming to show off some of the smoothest flips, glides, swings, and slides off walls, tables, buildings, and more ever before seen in a Spider-Man game, or a superhero game for that matter. This game could turn out to be something special. It's always nice to get a superhero game that's not based off a movie for once, so I'm looking out for this one. Number 4, Cuphead. When is this game coming out already? I can't wait any longer. The hype train for this one has already left the station. Cuphead is a run-and-gun platformer based off 1930s television and contains the same art style as what you would see in an old Mickey Mouse episode. With lots of enemies and plentiful boss fights, Cuphead should keep you entertained for hours. That is, if it doesn't get delayed. Again. Number 3, Red Dead Redemption 2. It's Rockstar. It's Red Dead Redemption. Enough said. Number 2, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Taking inspiration from the now dead project Silent Hills, Resident Evil 7 shocked the world and its fan base by choosing to make the newest game first person and to return the series to its horror roots. The story takes place in a farmhouse, it looks like, and your character must escape the family, a gang of cannibalistic mutants. Using an extremely high-end graphics engine to produce lifelike quality graphics combined with now virtual reality, no other experience this year will come close to the deal Res 7 is offering. And GameGeek's number 1 most anticipated game of 2017 goes to Death Stranding. Remember that Silent Hills game we were just talking about a minute ago? This is what came out of that when Konami cut out Hideo Kojima from the Silent Hills project, leaving it dead in the water. Kojima then formed his own studio, rehired Norman Reedus, and set about making a brand new IP. Fuck you, Konami. With little detail as to what the game is actually about, trailers for the game leave vague metaphorical clues as to what's going on. We do know it's going to be a third-person game, but even that's not set in stone yet. And besides that, that's pretty much much all we know. Nonetheless, Kojima was the mastermind behind the Metal Gear Solid series, so we're pretty much convinced he could do no wrong at this point. And any creepy looking mystery starring Daryl and Hannibal sounds like a good deal to me. Well, that's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Those are our top 20 most anticipated games of 2017. What are your most anticipated? Did we leave any off the list? Let us know in the comments below and let's get a discussion going. If you want to see more content, you can hit the subscribe button and we'll see you in the next one.